Welcome back to another episode of 7,000 Volts, Living in an Electrified Life, the podcast which charges your mind, spirit, and soul. Today, I'm going to talk about math. Stick with me now, don't run away. And when I say math, it's the topic is understanding the rules to the game. I remember when I was younger, math made sense to me, but it didn't make sense to me. I wrote about this in my book. It didn't always make sense to me. I'm talking about the beginning stages of math. Yeah, the beginning stage, the chalkboard, when the teacher's up writing on the chalkboard. I don't even know if they still have those chalkboards today in this new day and age of society. They got the dry erase board, so I don't even think they have chalk in the blackboard like they used to have when I was in elementary school. What I remember was math wasn't so simple before it became simple. Like 1 plus 1 equals 2, it wasn't that simple because in those days I didn't understand the formula of math. And when you don't understand the formula, it can be nerve-wracking, it can be challenging. And that's not just math, but math is the basics. It's where we start. It's like they say, well, life don't come with instructions. This don't come. Why do you have to learn this? You're never going to use it in life. Well, there's a formula for that too. And I'm going to explain it to you because you are going to use math. Maybe not metaphorically math in its sense, but once you understood the formula, you use it in all kind of ways because you're challenged to think. You're challenged to see the formula. You get it? Are you following me? The formula. There's a formula to math. And once you figure it out, life becomes easier. There's a formula to life, but you have to understand the patterns, and that's what math taught us to do, to follow and understand the pattern. Let's start this journey. Math was impossible, not just for me, for other people too, whether you want to admit it or not. Because once we learn something, we get the macho act, like, oh, I always knew this. This has always been easy. Nothing's hard for me. If you want to be in denial and was one of those kind of people, then stick with that story. But at some point, math was really challenging in the beginning because the formulas just didn't make sense. And then when math turned into words and it became a word problem. Johnny had 5 apples. If you took away 2 apples, how many apples did Johnny have? Then they threw the algebra and the geometry in with it, and you're like scratching your head. My daughter Olivia has that same look on her face now. Now that she's in high school and she's got those bigger math problems, and I look at her mom. I'm like, you need to help your daughter. Yeah, we ain't trying to go back there. Yeah, I understand math now, but I'm not trying to get into geometry or algebra. I got bigger fish to fry, and I'm glad I married such a beautiful, smart wife that can help out with those problems and I don't have to do it. So those days were challenging. And we're going to stick with math here for a second because, if Johnny had 10 apples and he gave 2 to Sally and 1 to Jennifer, and then Brian came and gave Johnny 3 more apples, how many apples does Johnny has? It's easy for us now, or it's easy for some of us now. But the problem that occurred back then that we didn't understand it, like before we can walk, we didn't know how to walk. This is life. This is life. Math is life. We have to understand the formula. And once we understand the formula, math becomes simple. It's eating a sweet potato pie, apple pie, pecan pie, whatever pie that you prefer. But that's how simple math becomes. Like math it's not a problem. You project in business, we project. We see what the numbers are. Can we afford this piece of equipment? Are we going to be too lean? How much of the nut are we giving up to bring in another piece of equipment to help us operate at a higher peak, at a higher level than what we operate now? That's math. They don't tell you that. So when people ask, I won't say it's a dumb question because there's no dumb question, but when people say you're never going to use that in life, well, that's a person talking that they're still young, naive, or I talked about this in the other episode of just looking for the short route because I explained this in my book. No job I've ever had, no education or material I ever learned has gone to waste. I've been able to apply it to my life as a father, as a business owner, as a certified arborist, as a motivational person. And I'm talking to you today because of everything that I've learned, I've been able to apply in some shape or form to life. So don't disregard anything that you learn, even though you think you're never going to use it. Why people say that and think that way, I have no idea. So you have to stick with it, understanding the formula. Those days when nothing seemed like they were adding up, and then suddenly you understand the formula started making sense and everything started adding up. Guess what? That math problem, 1 + 1 = 2, didn't change. You grew wiser, you grew smarter, and you started to understand the formula. That's life. That's called living. Because once we understand the formula, that math problem is never going to change. We change. See, sometimes we look for the system to change. Oh, they should do this. This is not challenging enough. Or it should be more simplified for Johnny or Jimmy or whoever. But once we change and we become receptive and understand this principle, I have to understand. I have to get this. I have to understand this formula. That's life. When we struggle, when things don't seem to line up, whether it's our prayer life or just life in general, that's because we don't see the pattern. We're not understanding the formula. And when we don't understand the formula, it doesn't make sense to us. We're frustrated. We're stuck. We're like in a time warp. And life does this. We run around in circles. The GPS is recalculating, trying to get us to our destination, but we're stuck on that simple math problem, that geometry problem, that algebra problem, that simple add and subtract problem. We don't understand how many apples Johnny got when he got 3 from Susan. Amy gave him 6, and then he gave away 3 apples to Johnny, or Billy, or Charles, or Chuck, whoever he decided to get apples to. That math problem becomes more complicated than it has to be when you don't understand the formula. Life is simple when we understand the rules of the game. When we understand the rules, it's patterns and formula. It gets no simpler than that. And once we understand the patterns and the formula, it simplifies itself. If you walk outside with no shoes and there's nails on the ground and you step on one of those nails, what's going to happen? It's going to inflict pain on the bottom of your foot. And what do we do to stop the pain? It's simple. We take the nail from the foot. And what happens next time? We go, oh, I need to put on shoes. And guess what? If you don't put on shoes and you go back outside, you're going to step on the nail again. And you're going to repeat that process over and over again till you realize, hey, I need to put on shoes so I don't hurt my foot on the nails that's on the ground. It seems so simple. It's not complex. Some people step on those nails every single day, knowing maybe they can't afford shoes. Maybe that's the reason, or maybe whatever the reason it is. But we get stuck at that very problem, and we dance and we go around in the circle over the same problem over and over again. They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. And if you don't study and learn the formula, you'll continue to walk that pattern. And I had to do it to become a certified arborist. It wasn't easy for me in the beginning. I had to put in the time and study the material to become a certified arborist. I talk about this in my book because I didn't pass it the first or second time, or I think even third time when I took that test. Most importantly, I didn't give up. And when I decided to understand the pattern and the formula, my friends, I'm a certified arborist because of that, the same methodology that I'm telling you today. So let's try it. Let's try something different. And the difference that I'm asking you to try is the rules to the game, the rules to life, the challenges that you may face, there's a formula, there's a pattern to what you go through and what you're going through. And once you figure out those patterns, if you want to treat life like a video game, then do it. There's a pattern to that video game. To get from this level to the next level, to this level, to that level, you have to understand the pattern and the rules to the game. When I was a younger version of myself, I felt like my son David, and I mentioned this in my book, when David came to me and said, "Daddy, why isn't life fair?" Well, when I seen people getting ahead and going to different levels in life, I was like, well, what is it? Is it me? When I had engagements that didn't work out, I'm like, what is possibly wrong with me? I didn't understand this principle that I'm sharing with you today. I didn't understand the rules to the game. And when I started to understand the rules to the game, things began to shift. Life became an unsolved problem. The things I struggled with, I didn't struggle with anymore because of the fact I understood the rules to the game. I understand the formula. I understand that 1 + 1 = 2. I understood that when you sow good seeds, you get good seeds back in return. If you plant a harvest, you'll receive a harvest. I plant, some of these rules that the Bible laid out. Do unto others as you'll have them do unto you. And so when I do things now or even then, I don't look for anything in return within reason. I'm not coming every day to cut people's trees for free because I'm in business to earn money. But I give them more in use value than I take from them in cash value. I'll say that again. I give more in use value than I take from anybody in cash value. That's important to me. So if it's $1,000 to cut your tree down, I can promise you when me and the crew show up, you're going to probably get close to $2,000 worth of service that you're only getting charged $1,000 for, because I want to give you more in use value than I take for you in cash value. In fact, the sound of this voice, whoever's watching this podcast through audio or visual methods, this information I'm giving you, it's free if you apply it, and I'm not charging you anything for it. So at this very point and moment, I'm proving a point that I'm not trying to prove, that I'm giving you more in use value than I'm taking from you in cash value, because this basic information that I'm giving you can catapult you to a level that's so high and take you to another level in life. How do I know? These are all the things that I've already applied to my life, and God has blessed me to live and I'm living a tremendous electrified life each day, every day. I have a beautiful family and a striving business. So I'm taking time out of my business schedule. There's no advertisers here. And this is me giving back, giving you an opportunity to benefit from the wisdom that I've learned over 2 decades. So this is why I do it. I'm giving you more in use value than I'm taking from you in cash value. If we can understand the formula of life and once we understand the pattern and the formula and we put those two together, life becomes simpler. Why? Because we're not just hitting that head against a brick wall. We're understanding the rules of the game. If you play football, you have to understand those rules to the game. If you watch football, in order for it to make sense to you, you have to understand the rules to the game. If you play baseball, you have to understand the rules to the game. I have a son playing soccer. This is a new one for me. I had to learn the rules to the game so I can enjoy watching my son play soccer. And there's some rules to the game that's just like, I just learned this year. Did you know there's no timeouts in soccer? I do now. I didn't before. But do you know what offsides mean in soccer? I didn't before. This year, I do now, because I understand the rules to the game. You want to make more money? Well, guess what? Stop watching videos that's trying to tell you how to get rich quick and understand the rules to the game. It's funny. You got friends, you got family, and you have too many people that wants the fast, quick path. And if you want a fast, quick path, I'm giving you the answer. I'm giving you the antidote right here. Learn the rules to the game of the game that you're trying to play. I don't know if I said this before on this podcast, but I'm going to say it again. A snake bite has never killed anyone. It's the venom. It's the venom that spreads throughout your body that kills you if you don't get it treated. You can be surrounded by chaos and negativity. It does not have to sink the ship. But you have to recognize that something's not lining up with your spirit. You're not understanding the formula or the pattern of life correctly. And you have to make some type of adjustment to get you to where you need to be or where you're trying to go. I'll say it again. No one ever died from a snake bite. It's the venom that killed them. So if you get bit by a snake and you don't get the proper treatment immediately, the venom is going to kill you, not the bite itself. You know, what happens if you get bit, or if you step on a rusty nail, or you get bit by a dog or something? What's the first thing they said? Did the dog have rabies? It doesn't matter. We need to get you a technical shot. The technical shot to keep the venom or a rabies or a rusty nail from spreading throughout the body. Speaking of spreading out of the body, my good friend Paul, last Christmas, he stepped on a rusty nail. That's what brings it up. And this is something that has inspired me even more as a person. He got off his boat. They docked up somewhere up north of Pinellas County, or maybe it was Pasco County. I don't know the complete details. Anyhow, he went to the hospital a few hours later, and the doctor wanted to amputate his foot. And he said, "No way, we got to try something different before we just jump to cutting my foot off." And the doctor explained to him at that time that, hey, this is going to spread and get worse. It's too bad. We need to cut the foot off. So long story short, 4 or 5 surgeries later, within a 4 or 5 month span, it spread, and we said, we got to amputate your leg up to here. And he came to grips with it, that they had to amputate his leg. And when he told me the story, he said, "Yep, next week they're going to be amputating my leg." And he was calm. He understood it. He said, "Man, it's cool, LJ, because I'm going to get a prosthetic leg. I'll still be able to go scuba diving. I'll still be able to go out on my boat." Just his mindset of positivity, knowing that his leg was going to get amputated a week prior to our conversation, and it has been amputated, and his state of mind hasn't changed because he understood the formula. He didn't understand it at the time that, hey, cut the foot and save the whole leg at the time. But I've learned something from that now. And just to watch his mindset throughout this process is breathtaking. And in fact, I'm gonna try to have him on the show if he would come and talk about his story, because that's inspirational to me. Who wants to lose a foot or a leg? Nobody. But coming to grips with it, a positive mindset as he has, is just like, it motivates me even that much more. And so that's understanding the patterns and formula to life may not always make sense, but we have to come to grips to it. We have to have a certain mindset to make it make sense. So I'm going to close with this. Protect your peace, guard your mind, learn the formula, and keep sailing, because life isn't as complicated as it looks once you understand the rules to the game. That's my time. Stay electrified. Have a great week.